Hi there, and welcome to Reflections with Rhonda Jones, Monica Livingston, and Kimberly Johnson today. We're missing Ruthie, actually, and Ruthie, we're hoping you're watching. I did talk to her this week, and she said she was going to catch the end of the show last week, but she didn't want to catch just the end, so she didn't catch any of it. So if you're watching, Ruthie, we miss you. And your replacement, not that you could be replaced, Kathy is out today, and we are certainly missing her too. She brings a lot to the conversation. Today we're going to tackle a subject that is very, very controversial. And not that we've never tackled subjects like that before, but today we're going to speak about Paula Deen and the outcry of most of, well, no, that's not really true, I don't guess. I was going to say most of America. I don't know that to be a fact. But what she said in her deposition and the lawsuit brought against her and her brother and their companies for employing or for actually being what it sounds like crude, vulgar, inappropriate, a lot of things, insensitive in the workplace. Okay, so we've all heard that Paula Deen has said the N-word before. Now, I gotta tell you, that didn't shock me, but she told the truth as far as we all know in a deposition. If you remember Mark Furman during the OJ trial, they asked him, had you ever said the N-word? Have you ever said the N-word? And he said no at first. And we know that was a lie. And he basically ruined his career at the time. But he has since rebounded. And, he's actually a commentator. No biggie or no surprise on Fox News Network. Or a guest at times about certain things. So, ladies, the N-word. Unfortunately, if you live in the South, and if you tell me that you've never said the N-word, I probably wouldn't believe you. Just face value, I would say, I just can't believe you. And I'm not asking you guys if you've ever said the N-word. I've never heard you say the N-word myself, but I'm saying from birth to 50 years old, have you ever said the N-word? I would think most people in the South have. Why is that? Does anybody have a clue?
Well, it wasn't something that you shouldn't say until, like you were saying, O.J. Simpson trials was when that started being politically incorrect. I wish my mom was here because she said, when she was a child, it was a common word, and it didn't mean anything other than a black person. There was nothing derogatory about it. And over time, that's become something derogatory. So, like you said, I would be surprised if we hadn't. I probably have. Couldn't name you a date, but it hasn't been recent.
Sure.
Because it has become something offensive. And I don't want to offend people, but if I'm understanding correctly, Paula Deen said this 20 years ago?
I think it was 30, actually.
30 years ago, at a time when it wasn't considered offensive.
Right. Well, the one she admitted to.
Okay.
Personally, I think she's probably said it since then.
Possibly.
That's my own personal feeling, gut feeling. That's all. But do you know the context in which she's admitted to?
I believe it was in reference to someone who had a gun to her head.
Right.
I would say something derogatory about someone who had a gun.
Well, I probably would, sad
I don't know
to
if it'd
say.
be that word, but it would probably be something derogatory.
Right. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be that one, but it would be heavy laden. But, I was talking to Sean about this, and he said that this was after the fact. She was recounting the story to her husband at the time and saying, this blank had a gun to my head and it was shaking, and she was saying, about this gentleman that robbed her at the bank. She didn't say it to the man's face, Is something offensive if you don't say it to somebody's face? Monica, what do you think?
Well, I think the thing is that that time saying it probably stands out in her mind because that was a hard time in her life.
Sure.
She had just gotten up the courage to get a job. She had been through panic attacks and agoraphobia since the loss of her parents when she was 23 years old. And so she finally, through cooking and stuff, decided that she felt comfortable enough to work outside the home and get a job, and then she's robbed a year later. Having worked in a bank, it's a very scary thing to think about the fact of being robbed, then actually going through a robbery is horrific. So when you recant it, sometimes you do just kind of embellish things or whatever. So this time stuck out in her mind. Now, has she ever said it since or before that? It may have been a commonplace word in her home when she was a child, neighbors, people she was around. And true, she's probably used it other times. She admitted to that one time because it sticks out in her mind. Is it good that she said it? No, not at all. Is it good that any of us have ever used a derogatory word towards anybody of another color, another race, another, sexual orientation or whatever? No, not at all. But being able to admit it and then having to catch the hell that she's done, she did wrong.
Yeah.
I've done wrong. I've said things I shouldn't have said, and I can look at you and say regrettably. Now, I think part of the problem was the fact that when she was in the deposition, they asked her if she'd ever used the N-word, and she said, yes, of course. And then she added, but it's been a long time ago. It's that kind of course that's taken like, oh, well, it's no big deal.
Well, that's your interpretation of that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. It can be
Right.
taken that way. She might have meant, yes, of course, I'm from the South, it was commonplace to use it. It's not like I meant hate with it.
Right.
It can be taken a lot of ways.
Or I was thinking too, and I'm just interjecting what could have happened. This could be one scenario, that when you are preparing for a deposition, your lawyer prepares you for the deposition, and I would say with everything I own, might not be a bunch, but I would place it all on the line and say, he told her, if you have ever said the N-word, Paula, you get out there and own it. Just say yes.
Right, because if you don't and somebody comes forward and has a recording of
That's
you
right.
saying it or where you've
witness.
written it or,
Right.
anything
That's right.
else, it looks twice as bad for you not to be honest about your mistakes, and own up to them than for it to come out and bite you in the butt later.
Right.
That's why when politicians and people are going to run for office, they're like, hey, lay it all out here, tell us what the skeletons are in your closet, because if
Right.
they come up later, it'd be better to deal with them now than for us to find out later, here you are looking like this spotless lamb, and you've cheated on your wife and embezzled money, and, so.
Right. So that could be one scenario I thought about, and then of course she says, yes, of course, because she didn't want to leave anything, uncovered as far as, yes, I have said the N-word, of course. It doesn't look very good that she said it that way. It just seems like she has rolled in a pile of crap, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
And
snowballing.
right, it's snowballing, and she doesn't really rehabilitate herself very well. We have a couple of years, well, it's almost 2 years old. No, almost 1 year old clip. I think it's October 13th, 2012. Let's watch this clip, and then we can discuss what's going on with it.
You can articulate, and how do you place the racism and the slavery within that?
I do. It's funny. I feel like the South is almost less prejudiced because black folks played such an integral part in our lives. They were like our family. Oh. And we didn't see ourselves as being prejudiced.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel how is it now? How do you feel race relations are in the South these days?
Well, I think they're pretty good. I think they're good, but it will take a long time. Mm-hmm. It will take a long, long time to for it to completely be gone, if it'll ever be gone, who knows? I think we're all prejudiced against one something or another, and I think black people feel the same prejudice, that white people feel. But I have a young man in my life, and his name is Hollis Johnson, and he's black
Hollis
as
is
that
here,
board.
isn't he here? Is Hollis
Stand up,
traveling?
Hollis.
Is Hollis here?
Come
Hi,
out here,
Hollis.
Hollis. We can't see you standing against that dark board.
Welcome to New York City.
Welcome to the South.
Hi, Hollis.
But I tell people, this is my son by another father.
Yeah.
I mean, I
There's
love
some
this
breaking
young
news.
man. I would travel to hell with him, and I know I can trust him with my life, and color ain't got nothing to do with it. It's all about what's in here.
Hollis, thank you. That you can articulate, and how do you place the racism and the
Well, I
slavery?
tell you,
Paula.
Paula.
She strikes me as very naive, and I don't think she meant anything offensive in what she said at all. She seems quite naive.
I think that's part of it. I was talking, and I related this to my husband and to Sean when we had a conversation about this whole issue, is that she was very young when she got married, very young when her parents died. She was fresh out of high school when she married her husband. Her parents died when she was 23. She had just started having kids, was married and had kids. Probably, if I remember from her biography, was a homemaker, pretty much. Her parents died. She starts facing panic attacks and agoraphobia, and basically is like a recluse in her home for a number of years. She was raised in the South where, let's be honest, that's a common word that's been used in the South for a long, long time. Is it right? No. But she's not the most educated person in the world. I'm not belittling her.
No. But
she hasn't had a lot of schooling other than, K through 12 or whatever it was back when she went to school, and she is very naive. You can hear it in her speech. I don't think she has any hate necessarily towards people of, another race, but the naivety of, or the ignorance in realizing that saying somebody's as black as a board and you can't see them when they're standing against the board, she doesn't realize how, and he didn't take it as offensive, but how somebody else could.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
my point is, the people listening probably, were shocked or taken aback, but it looked like Hollis was okay with. I don't know. I don't know
Right,
what his
well,
heart's about, but
He
that's
knows
between her and Hollis.
He knows her
Yeah,
personally.
that's
and
between
so
those two.
He's probably used to her saying stuff that sounds crazy to other people, like when she used to put sticks and sticks and sticks of butter in her recipes, and she's like, "I'm not your doctor. I'm your, your cook and your chef," and it just very simple speech and very country, very
Just
kind of.
and says just whatever
Yeah,
comes in her
there's not a
mind.
filter.
Right. There's not a filter.
And he's used to that, so he doesn't take offense to it. Whereas other people hearing it, like when I heard it, I was like, "Oh my God, Paula, why?" I don't talk about friends that I have by, she's as white as, you just don't. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well.
I'm not the most educated, but either, Paula. But come on.
But I guess some people think it and some people say it. And I don't know. I want to say I admire somebody that doesn't try to be fake about it.
Right.
It sounds like she's just an open book. It sounds like. We don't know. We don't know a lot about her. The lady that brought the suit against her and her brother and everybody, she's a white woman, Lisa Jackson. And I read the actual court, the filing against Paula and her brother. The lady claims mainly the brother is really one of these good old boys. You know, we've all met him, known him, had to endure him, or, you know, listen to their bull. That's what he sounds like, according to this lady. But I got to thinking, you know, the trial hasn't even started that I know of. You know, just the depositions and that's coming out, and the lady wants a jury trial, and, you know, we don't even know if Paula is involved in a lot of this stuff. We don't know that she's not. But how come we're not giving her, you know, some grace here?
Well, the thing is, you know, and Sean mentioned this, and I thought it was a very good point. You know, we've come a long way in America, and it's like, you know, we got where, you know, equal rights for black people, and then women got to be able to vote, you know. But even though those things are instituted, doesn't mean immediately that the culture and things start shifting. You know, took a long time for desegregation and for the women's suffrage, and now we're dealing with, you know, equal rights for people, gay, homosexual, lesbian, transgender, to be able to marry. And it's still going to take a while. But every so often you catch someone who's a high-profile person. If I said it, there's not going to be anybody out there that's going to be cameras at my door, or I don't think, anyways, and lambasting me because I said a racial slur,
Yeah.
or a derogatory word concerning somebody of another sexual orientation or whatever. But Paula's high profile. And anytime you get somebody that's high profile and they slip up, they make a mistake, they get dragged through the mud. And it's sad that it happens. And it's been a long time since we've heard that someone's, you know, in a high profile hasn't used it outside of a song or a comedy routine.
Well, it's okay to use it in a song.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
or
And we were
comedy
talking about,
if
comedy
you
routines,
are
you hear it all the time.
Black, right?
Well, but no, there's white people that use it. I think my husband was talking about Louis C.K. has a comedy routine, and he'll say the word over and over and over again in the comedy routine, but it's understood as comedy. Whereas hers was an everyday usage that she probably used it. She admitted to a different, not an everyday usage,
Right.
but as a, you know, something horrific had happened to her, and she was recanting it, and she was upset, and
Yeah. So
You
if
know.
she was a comedian, it would be okay to use it.
well, it seems like it is. I mean, unfortunately, I was talking with you earlier, and I was saying how, you know, to me it bothers me because, like, I'm sitting outside Walmart, and somebody pulls up in their car beside me, and they've got the music blaring that every other word is it. And then I have to worry, are my kids going to repeat this? Because they're sponges, and they repeat everything they hear. And they hear a word, then they repeat a word, and I have to worry and be concerned with them repeating that. How is that helping them to never be a part of the problem? Never having used these racial slurs. I can't say in my lifetime I've never said the N-word.
Sure.
I don't remember a
See, I'm just like
context
Paula,
that I've
sure,
said it in,
you know.
but I've said it. But thankfully, my kids haven't.
Yeah, we've
But,
come a long way.
you know, when they're sitting at Walmart and the guy next to them in the car, and it's every other word, every other word, every other word,
Sure.
eventually they're going to pick it up.
Yeah, and wonder.
And when they see a comedy routine, when they're old enough to watch it, or they watch it without my permission, you know.
hopefully they'll say, "What is that? You know, what?
Right.
What does that mean?" Or what?
But a lot of times they don't. A lot of times it's just repeated.
That's true.
Sadly.
Have you your children are older than Monica's. Have your children ran across any type of, you know, what does this mean, or who is this? What are they different, or?
You know, probably a lot of that's because we're limited on the media in our house. We don't have cable, you know, we don't, and we're careful what the kids watch. And I wish I'd been here when y'all showed the commercial with the biracial couple. I had my kids watch that, and I asked them what's wrong with this commercial. Some people are upset about this commercial. Do you see anything wrong with this commercial? And they watched it, and Christian said, "Is it because the little girl spilled cereal all over the floor?" And they couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah, that's a Cheerio commercial. In
Yes.
case anybody doesn't know, we talked about it one day of biracial couple. You want to talk about the commercial?
Yeah, the commercial, it was just such a cute commercial. So the little girl comes up to her mom and asks her if Cheerios are really good for your heart, and the mom reads the box that says that it is, so she goes and pours Cheerios all over her daddy's heart. It was so cute. But the dad was black and the mom was white.
And she was a biracial
And she was
child.
a little cute little biracial child. And, my kids couldn't pick up any, and when I told them what the problem was, they both said, "Well, that's stupid." And,
And that's the thing is,
So,
our
yeah.
kids, they don't see color, and they don't
No.
have these issues, and it's learned issues.
It is.
And I'm saying Paula was a child once. She was taught,
Right.
and
Sure.
these words were used around her, and so they became part of her vocabulary just as much as any of the rest of us, whoever has said it. It's because we heard it. We were a child once. We weren't born knowing those words.
Sure.
And we didn't just immediately use those words. We learned those words. We use those words. When you know better, you do better.
That's
what
true.
you're saying, and I
Yeah.
believe it. And I
Well,
think Paula's come a long way. I still think she has some issues, and she's got to, like you said, she's admitted it. She needs to be head on. And I think she has. She has admitted saying, "Hey, look, I've used it. I'm sorry. It's not right." But, I think that all of us have,
Sure.
been there.
Been there, done that. Well, you make a good point. In the South, when I was growing up, I heard the word. I heard people in authority around me say the word, and and this is hard for some people to even understand. And so, what I want to say is, if you're not in my shoes, it's just like black people. I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what that feels like to hear that
Right.
word. Really, I do know today when I hear it being used, 99% of the time, I do recoil. I'm like, yeah, let's just try to get past it. But where I was going with that is, we would hear, if you want some good strawberry jam, you go down 3 doors down to the left, and that blank man that's real nice, he'll sell it to you for $4. You describe, somebody different than you. It's not the white man on the block, it's the black man on the block. It wasn't,
Right.
and I didn't grow up thinking it was a horrible word to use at all. It was just a descriptive word. And we've learned so much since I was a little kid that, people, you shouldn't really categorize people black or white. We shouldn't see color. We want to embrace our differences, don't get me wrong, but we shouldn't say, and they're trying to do this in the media, and sometimes it doesn't really work well. Like if they're trying to say, be on the lookout for a man that robbed Family Dollar, they won't put the color of the person now
Yeah.
in
see,
the news journal, in our newspaper. And who am I going to be on the lookout for? A man, 30 years old.
yeah.
I need to know, is he white? Is he Latino? Is he black? Or what?
I mean,
it goes too far sometimes.
It does not. I don't agree that we shouldn't see color. I think we should see it just like we see hair color and eye color. It's just part of the person.
Right.
And I think if we take it to that extreme where, we won't even talk about it, then we're swinging too far in the other direction.
Right.
Yeah.
I was also sharing with Sean and my husband when we were speaking that number of years ago, before I was married, and so it's 15, 20 years ago, I worked at a local restaurant, and one of my coworkers and I decided we were going to move in together. Well, she happened to be a black woman, and when she told people that she knew that were black as well, that we were moving in together, they all kind of like, well, how are you going to live with a white woman?
Yeah.
And I had people ask me the same thing, and both of us, we just laughed about it. We were like, we're not going to rub off on each other. She's not going to become white, I'm not going to become black, I mean, and it was funny. And it was funny because I got teased. Some of the ladies that worked in the back that were also black, and they were all friends of mine. They said they were going to give me a sister name. So I had
yeah.
the name Funquetta Lachey. So that was my sister name. And it was just funny, but it didn't bother them,
Right,
and it
right.
wasn't an issue. But there were people that were like, how are you going to live with her? You know, I mean, and it was just, it was stupid.
Yeah, right,
you know?
exactly.
It was
It's
really
ignorant.
stupid.
Ignorant.
Yeah.
We have a couple of viewer comments before we get back to, we're going to watch another clip, I think. Okay, viewer comment. I don't think there was anything wrong with Paula saying that the man was black as a board, given the context. She was teasing the man about his skin, not putting him down as a person. We are friends with someone, and if we love them, we usually tease them. That's true. I think the problem is that the entire picture that is being painted of Paula, right or wrong, is making it difficult to understand her heart in that one moment. That said, I think that some of the things she said prior in that interview were pretty naive, but that doesn't make her a racist. I agree.
right.
It just makes her someone who is uneducated about race, relations, and sensitivity. Another comment. Neil Patrick Harris recently sang the N-word in a music with Mike Tyson standing right by him. In fact, the moment in the song was about Mike Tyson, and Neil Patrick Harris was calling him the N-word with a hard R at the end of the word. After Neil called him that, Mike tipped his hat, said some humorous thing, and danced. Though it got attention in the press because of the N-word, it was largely accepted. To be clear, Mike Tyson was not playing a character. The moment in the song was literally about him. So, why can some people say it and some people can't? And I'm talking about white people. Some white people can say it, and you don't hear any backlash. Most black people can say it, and you don't hear any backlash.
Well, I think part of it has to do with the fact that she's already in this deposition where this woman is accusing her and her brother of constant racial slurs in the restaurant, as well as sexual harassment and other things, if I've read the articles correctly.
Yeah.
And so that's already in there, and that's already in people's mind that this woman has this, lawsuit against her, and then here she admits to it. So it looks very damning.
Right.
Whereas if you have somebody that's, and I'm not saying I approve of it being in a music video or
Sure.
a comic routine or whatever, but it's understood in those cases to be what it is and not a slur against somebody. I mean, not so much name calling or
Right. You're not mad when you say it.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what comes to my mind because I mean, you do. I mean, like I said, you can pull up at Walmart, Target, Publix, whatever store you shop at, and if you sit there long enough in the parking lot,
You'll hear the word.
Or you're in your own home, somebody will be driving by and
That's true. White or black.
White, black, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. They blare it, and it's in there every other word just about. And it's like, I mean, I've never understood that, but.
Right. I mean, and Paula, I heard her say during the Today Show interview, which didn't help her at all, but she said, I can walk in any of the kitchens of any of my restaurants, and I hear young people just calling each other that constantly. And, young people, when I say they don't seem to have a problem with using that term.
Right.
So is the word bad, or is the way you use the word bad? I mean, is that word Nigger, is that a bad word, or is the way you use that word, is that what it's all about?
I would hope it was the usage, but it's obviously not because Paula didn't use it, I don't think, in a way that was derogatory, and she's still suffering from people abandoning her. Walmart's not carrying her products, Lowe's and Target.
I don't know, the Walmart I was at still had her ooey gooey butter
Oh, I
cake
didn't-
and
didn't think
her
about that.
cobbler and stuff right up there on the shelf with the bakery
Huh.
stuff. Maybe they're just trying to sell out
They
of it, but
might.
it wasn't clearanced,
Yeah.
because
But
I purchased that stuff before, and to be honest with you, it looked pretty good the other day. So.
Well, it's I think people jumped off the ship way too soon, in my opinion. Like I said, hasn't even had her day in court. I mean,
yes.
Is that how we're going to do people from now on? We're going to crucify them for making a mistake? I guess so. I guess, some people are just,
Well, I think for them it's easier to just, and I'm not justifying them firing her or anything. I think sometimes people, like you said, they jump ship real quick and what have you. They don't want all the backlash from it that, because you instantly had celebrities. I think it was Wendy Williams and there was a couple of other people that just instantly spoke out against her saying it and were very harsh and stuff about it. And they don't want all the backlash. They don't want to be known as someone who has somebody in their employee or that runs a show of somebody who, but I mean, I bet if you had all of them under oath and you made them all
thank you.
on any network, news anchors, cooking shows, sports shows,
Wendy Williams.
you're going to have people
Wendy Williams.
that if they're honest under oath, they
Yeah.
will say, yeah, I've used derogatory comments.
Like I was telling you, all of these, mostly will probably be men, these CEOs of these corporations that have dropped her. I would presume that they have used the word bastard and bitch. Those can be very derogatory, women. And are we, like black people that say, I don't want you to say the N-word, but I'm going to say the N-word. So, can we call each other bees, biatches, and we don't want anybody else to call us one,
Yeah,
That's
and
just
I think
how
that's
we are.
what I was going to say about the people that Paula walks in and the young people that use it in the restaurant and stuff and people that use it in songs. And it's kind of like, I can say it about myself, but don't you say it about me. I mean, I can say Monica's being a today, but you can't say that.
No, but they're saying to each other, like,
Oh, yeah.
one, black kitchen worker would be saying to the other black kitchen worker,
Yeah.
hey, blah, blah, pass me the
Yeah.
pot or whatever, So,
Yeah.
are we all just hypersensitive? Are we all hypocrites? I think so.
Oh, well, I think that's part of it, we've just become,
Too politically correct.
yeah, so politically correct that you have to walk on eggshells. I'm not saying it's right, and that I don't believe racism in any form or fashion
Sure.
is good. I think Paula was a little naive when she said, we've all got our prejudice. I mean,
I think she's right.
she
She said
it's
the
true,
truth.
but it almost
Yeah.
sounded like she was saying, it's okay, I said it, we've all got our prejudices. I mean, it just sounded like she was excusing away.
Well, at that point, nobody knew she's ever said the N-word.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
guess I wasn't clear about
Yeah,
that.
that was a year ago.
Oh, okay.
So nobody had any clue about what was going on, I don't guess. Well, the lady that brought the lawsuit did, because she acts like for 5 years she's had to endure all this. And I want to say for 5 years,
Just now getting around to complaining about it.
no, she acts like she's complained,
Oh, okay.
I
several
did read
times in
recently
years.
that there was a guy that
Yes.
has been arrested
Yes.
for trying to extort $250,000
$1,000.
from Paula, and then he also apparently contacted the lawyer for Lisa Jackson to see if he would get on board, because he says, I've got these people on the hook and we can get this money, but we're going to have to go, I can't do it by myself, we're going to have to go at it together. And
Yeah, and they set up this sting operation, and Paula's lawyer, I think, contacted him and said, okay, we'll do it, but we can do it for $200,000, and the guy said, okay, and FBI arrested him.
Oh,
Absolutely. Okay, here's another comment. This is from NCG Jasper. In an interview, oh, wow. All right, hold on. We're going off the hook, people. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Never mind. We don't need another clip. We're fine. Thank you, crew members. In an interview Oprah had with Jay-Z, he talks about the N-word. He says, we give words power, and when he uses that word, he has taken the power out of it. Okay, maybe Paul was trying to take some power out of it. I don't think so.
I think that some people honestly think that, and maybe it does, but at the same time, like I mentioned about my kids and Kaylee's kids and everybody's kids, when they hear it, then they have the responsibility once they've heard it, and we do as parents, but we can only do so much in teaching them that that word can be very offensive.
Sure.
And, or any word towards any group. can be very offensive if it's used a certain way.
So the usage of the word can be very offensive.
Right. Or the word itself can be, but you know what I'm saying? This gentleman's saying using the word takes away its power,
yeah.
but it only does so much, because then it's out there and other people hear it, and then it's on them how they use it and how people take it who hear them. And it's like, if we keep using it and we keep, condemning people for using it, but then we keep using it, you see what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
a nasty ball of crap.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
Yeah, it's
because
a Bob
he
Graves
says it's
conundrum.
taking away the power, but then a kid hears it and a kid repeats it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't see where it ends.
Well, Jay-Z's pretty crunk. Now, I have to say, Jay-Z's almost like a king. You know what I'm saying? He's really cool. That's Beyonce's husband. Okay.
I don't know
That's like
who
royalty,
Jay-Z is.
girl. You know who Jay-Z is. But, okay, now. Okay, we do have a comment from William Loves Papa. William Loves Papa says, words don't always have inherent meaning. They can have different usages. I am
Sounds
black.
like he's listening to Dr. Jones a bit,
Yeah.
maybe.
William says, I am black, and if my white friend came up to me and said, what up, my nig? Did I say that in some kind of like a accent? Okay. And my white friend came up to me and said, what up, my nig? I'm not nowhere offended by that. I think that's pretty cool, William, because you know your friend and you know the meaning behind the word.
Right.
And that's a very good point. William Loves Papa. Thank you. We have another comment from our producer who says, please be more sensitive, Rhonda. Only crew members can call each other the C word. Crew member. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I do appreciate all these comments. I don't know what it feels like. I do know what it feels like to be called something and not like it. I do know what that feels like.
Oh, yeah.
So I can say if, I go to the bakery and I see a black woman and I am rude and harsh and I say, get out of the way, blank.
That's awful.
Yeah, but I wouldn't come up to her and say, what's up, my nig, either, because I don't have that familiarity with her.
Right.
But that's why I say when Paula did that to Hollis,
He understood her.
he understood her.
He's
And
not
they,
offended by it.
they're okay. To me, that's them. That's their business, her and Hollis. That was their business,
Right.
Now, America is looking at that now and they're just like, oh, wow, that's horrible.
I
That's
cringed,
horrible. You
you know.
cringe. But I can understand having a relationship with somebody that you can say things back and forth,
And back to the word, giving the word
Yeah.
the power or
Yeah.
taking away its power. We were talking about this, before, and we're often called a cult by people, and they use it in a very derogatory meaning. But then we've turned
true.
it around and said we're the cult of honesty. So I can see where that is a
Yeah.
very
Valid point.
valid point, and we don't mean it that we're a cult, but if we're going to be called a cult, then we're going to be the cult
Right.
that is after intellectual, spiritual, honesty.
Yeah.
So, I see his point there. I really do.
Right.
And I wasn't saying that I didn't see it. It's just with some words, you just keep giving them the power, I think,
Yes.
by keeping them in usage.
It's
So,
like little kids. If you tell them, do not say SHIT, do not say that. They're going to get behind the door and say it, and they're going to get with their friend. But I'm not saying just use
Right.
it all the time, and they'll just soon get tired of it and won't think nothing of it. I don't believe that's how it works either. But somewhere in the middle, there's this happy
Right.
medium, and I don't know the answer to it, And when they asked Paula about, what do you think about race relations in the South right now, she said, I think they're pretty good. And I do too, because as you said, we have a generation that aren't using a word that when you use it in a bad way, people are hurt by it, or
Right.
some people are just hurt by it anyway. So we're having a generation come up that possibly won't even ever use the N word, and some people may say, well, why not? But if it's so controversial, it's just best to drop it. And I think we did until you said, possibly during the O.J. Simpson trial, when race relations across our country really kind of divided again, worse than before, because it seemed like most black people thought O.J. was innocent, most white people thought he was guilty, and then when the verdict came down, people were upset, and it was just a big mess. And then, of course, when Mark Furman lied about saying it, and, if you tell the truth and say, yes, I have said it, I regret ever saying it, and I can say that to you, I have said it, I regret ever saying it. I'm sure I haven't said it to anybody's face in a mean, harsh way,
Right.
but I still regret ever, listening to anything inappropriate when somebody else said it and not stopping them. If I ever did, you have a lot of regrets growing up. And, and it was actually, I think, Maya Angelou who says, if you know better, you do better. And then Oprah said that, and then I got it from Oprah. So I wanted, because that's huge. When you know better, you do better. And hopefully we're going to learn to know better. But Paula, she's no spring chicken. And, she came up in a time that people used it, and some people used it in a horrific way and still do. And some people can joke with their friends about it. So I think it's best if you know the atmosphere that you can joke with somebody about it. It's okay to joke with somebody however y'all want to. But to say anything, to call somebody out against something that they don't have any control over. I didn't ask to be born white. I have no control over that. So if somebody would call me a name because I'm white, what Paul say, I is what I is. And why in the world, why are we so upset because she said I is what I is? Do you know why, Mo? You don't know why? You don't?
Well, I mean,
You
I'm
don't?
sure that they're thinking that she's making fun of the speech of a lot of the black culture because they do use more of a slang speech a lot.
Oh,
So, I mean, that's what I guess.
okay. Do you have any idea why people
That
are
would be my
upset?
guess, but that seems so judgmental on other people's part.
Yeah.
Do you really know that that's what she meant? Is that what she meant? I mean,
I don't know.
Maybe it's just her
I don't know.
redneck,
maybe she's just
Because,
redneck,
uneducated.
let's be honest, when you're from the South, you kind of blurred the lines, because we are involved in everything together, black people, white people. And so we are close enough that we've blurred some lines,
And I think that's what she was
I
saying.
think so
there,
too. She's
you know.
just being familiar because she has, wonderful friends of another race, and she works with people of all colors, and she's just in this fluid, and that's the way a lot of Southerners talk, not just black Southerners or white Southerners, but Southerners just are sort of lazy in our speech, and we just get in this rhythm of, and I want her heart to be known. I hope that her heart is as pure as possible with regard to people that aren't like her, and I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt until, something's proven. I really am. Okay, we have just a couple of minutes left. I do want to apologize and say I am so sorry that I called the crew members the C word. I know that I don't have the power, the right to do that, and I do apologize. I'm like Paula, every time I open my mouth, I stick my size 8 foot in it. So thank you so much for your comments today. And we just want everybody to, like in the words of the infamous brilliant man, Rodney King, can't we all just get along? I mean, that was the best thing I've ever heard anybody say. Rodney King, God rest his soul. He's dead now. But can't we all just get along? Embrace the differences, laugh at them if we have to, but if it's okay, just know what you're doing. Don't put people down
Yeah.
because of anything. If they're smarter than you are, raise them up and say, hey, you're brilliant. If they're stupid,
Don't lift them up and say they're stupid.
just don't let them up and say they're stupid. But, You know what I'm
There-
trying to say.
There's
Be
some way
nice.
that you can praise them.
That's right.
Make
Can't-
them feel good. Lift them up.
That's right. So I hope and pray that that Paula can get out of this mess and make amends to and I'm sure she has helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You know, when Smithfield Ham dropped her, it hurt my heart because Paula does great charity work for Smithfield Ham, and she gives away hams, her and Smithfield, and they have this program, and you see her every Thanksgiving or around about that time where she's giving away hams to, you know, underprivileged people and stuff. You know, I know she's got a heart for people, and I just hope that it can come out. So any final comments from you, Mo? Or
Well, this is totally unrelated to Paula, but I just, people leave their mark on this world, good or bad, and we all hope that people can look for people and look to leave a positive mark on this world. And I read an article, first I saw it on Facebook, and it kind of just shocked me because it was such a really an inspirational thing, but it was a gentleman from India whose wife had died because they lived in an area that would take them a long, long time to get around this mountain to get medical attention. And she was injured in an accident. I don't recall it saying exactly what kind of accident it was, but by the time she would have gotten to the medical attention, she died. And he didn't want this happening to anybody else in his village. So he took a chisel, a hammer, and nails and began to chisel a hole through the mountain. For 22 years, he worked on this almost day and night. He dug a 360-foot long, 30 feet high, and 25 feet wide passage through the Galore, I probably am saying that wrong, hills, and reduced the distance from 55 kilometers to 15.
wow.
He was known as the Mountain Man. Some people thought he was mad. But when he died in August of 2007, they gave him a state, in his country of India, there, they gave him like a state burial, like
Wow.
a good burial. And he had also met with the political people there in office to try and get a metal road put through the mountain. But, he took a horrific thing where his wife had died, devoted 22 years of his life to probably very crazy work, just chiseling a hole in a mountainside, because he wanted to do something for other people so they didn't suffer the same fate as his wife. So leave your mark on the world, let it be positive. Help somebody out.
Wow. Very good. Do you have a story like that you
No.
want to share? You don't? Oh, that's okay. Mo acted like you had something that you were going to
Well,
share.
I had,
I know we only have 2 minutes, but you
I
wanna-
can talk fast.
Okay.
I had read on, now you're going to have to wait for my Kindle to come up.
You got plenty of time. We can
Okay.
just do
No,
what we want to.
I'd seen this article, and I thought it was really neat. This lady lost her leg in an accident. And I believe a car fell on her leg. And she lost it right below her knee. She became a physical therapist, and on a dare, now I've lost it, sorry. On a dare, she built herself a leg out of Legos. She made herself a Lego leg. And she did it on a dare, but she's going to finish it because she says, why should I have to have a prosthesis that looks like a leg? I'm not ashamed that I'm an amputee. I don't have to hide it. So she built herself a Lego leg, and she's going to build a sturdier one, and she's going to build a fiber optic leg that glows.
Well, I'd say that
I wouldn't want a
it's
fiber optic
positive.
leg, but I think it's really cool that she's offering people an option. You don't have to hide the fact that you're an amputee.
Right,
If you don't
embrace your
want to.
differences.
Yeah. I got thinking about this Lego leg, though. I know our grandson, Gavin, he brings Legos to the house, and before he gets out of the car, he makes it up the steps.
He's lost
well,
two or
he's
three.
lost
He left
3
the
or 4
trail.
Lego. So I don't know how.
She had some. I wish I had known to give the guys the link so they
Yeah,
could
it's
show the
awesome. We
picture.
can do
Maybe I
that
can do
now.
that next week. But
Yes, that'd be
but
good.
her first attempt, she stood on it and it fell off, and she was laughing. It was funny, but she wants to build a sturdier one.
Yeah.
That's actually usable. But
Yeah,
I
because
thought it was really neat that she's
Yeah.
take a handicap that maybe some people are embarrassed of
True.
and say, hey, I'm gonna do something different.
yeah, why not? Go for it, girl. Well, we will see you next week, and we may talk a little bit more about Paula we're going to try to rehabilitate her a little bit and give her a little grace and forgiveness. But if you have any subjects that you would like us to talk about or tackle, or you want to ever call in and give us your opinion on Skype or something, we'd love to have you do that. And we really would. We're actually, next week, I'm probably going to show a video of something totally unrelated to Paula Deen. But you talk about a tearjerker, it will jerk your tears. Absolutely. All right. We'll see you next week.